You've got Wukong's and Arena. Both of those spells synergize super well when you manage to connect them, and Lilgun don't really have that team fight presence, and they build up with a Dark Willow as well. So they've got
Ooh.
Terrorize into Arena, they've got Brambles to hold inside of Wukong's. So much potential in the 5v5s, and Lilgun is still sort of single target focused with Lycan and really not much control coming out from the Grimstroke. No synergy with that Soulbind as well. So it feels like Lilgun was definitely funneled into the situation where they pick two win conditions, but they don't really gel together, and now they kind of have to scramble to find answers.
Yeah, and it also feels like, this Monkey King and Mars are going to be great against this physical damage. Like TA, Lycan, mostly physical damage. Mars, you're just kind of naturally tanky. You've got Bulwark. And then you've got Monkey King, who in Wukong's command gets all this bonus armor. So it does feel like they're going to maybe have some issues when it comes to actually killing off some of these heroes.
Yeah, that burst is definitely lacking. The Snapfire somewhat helps. At least you have the kisses, but I don't see any easy way to set up those kisses on Lilgun. They don't have the Mars on their side. They don't really have room for... Well, I say they don't have room. They could kind of go for something cheeky, like, say, a Void. I don't know where you lane at. You maybe safe lane Void, mid TA, off lane Lycan, but that definitely doesn't sound like something Lilgun does. They love their safe lane TA. So I don't see any easy way of leveraging your Snapfire's magic damage to kind of burn through the Mars, burn through the Monkey King, as you pointed out. I don't think it fixes the issues. And with a Snap, sure, you get a little bit more stun with a cookie now, like a Lycan Wolf cookie with Inkswell. That could be one really nice way to run it around, especially once the Invis is up. It just feels very one track. It's not very flexible. That's sounding like literally the only way they can play, unless something amazing comes out to help them get some team fight.
I agree, and I look at here like supports like Snapfire and Grimstroke. You kind of need setup for these heroes. Like Snapfire is hoping somebody can set up a good Mortimer's Kisses, and none of these heroes have stuns really. It's Snapfire who is the stuns. So unless we're seeing that like Blink Shard later on in the game and Snapfire's the initiator, it's like who's starting these fights? Perhaps something that Ragdoll recognizes. They're banning out Tide, they're banning out Beastmaster. Maybe slightly worried about some cheese when it comes to like a Beastmaster Lycan draft. All in pushing them. But it does feel like there's some holes and some gaps in the Lilgun draft that they're going to have to find a way to make up for.
Yeah, I think for Lilgun, there's still a couple of options. Sand King looks like an option to give them some of that team fight potential. So that would be asking for... That still forces them to run Lycan like safe and TA mid with the Sand King off. Unless they do something Yopaj inspired and run Sand King mid, but I don't really know if Lilgun wants to do that. They have done that, if I recall right. So they could flex that way, but I think that just gives Ragdoll way too much power with how to run the drafts. Again, it's very forced if they have to go into something like the Sand King. I think ideally here for Lilgun, they're gunning for a mid lane, run the TA safe, Lycan off, and Ragdoll just get something else to tie in with that AoE. Queen of Pain once more, and that is a core this time, unlike the last series. But still, so much AoE, so much magical burst, so many ways to initiate with a blink from the Quap, with a blink from the Mars down the line. And it just ties in really well. I think Lilgun's draft still looks a bit too spread out. And I really don't see much in the way of this last pick to fix that. Again, Sand King kind of works, but that just requires a very weird flex that I'm not sure Lilgun's really going to gun for.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Ragdoll get a last pick Queen of Pain when typically this hero is like a first two. But Lilgun more worried about some of those other mid lanes with the Lesh and the Razor Band. So we'll see how Lilgun respond. Definitely, I guess the one thing they've going for them is that flexibility where TA can play mid, can play safe lane. So they can kind of adjust their last pick now accordingly, now that they see the Queen of Pain come out, and decide where they want to be sending her. Because, yeah, lockdown control does seem like an issue. Some of those mid laners, like, we've talked about the Puck and the Kunkka being two of the better mid laners against Quap. Kunkka is banned out, but Puck's still in the pool, so maybe that's a consideration. But with 8 seconds left, we'll see soon enough what that's going to be. And it is, you mentioned Sand King.
What?
Is it mid Sand King, off lane Sand King? You predicted it's maybe the Yopaj special, the mid Sand King.
It's looking like... I mean, 11, that should be the offlane Sand King,
okay,
which gives them a really solid duo of either Sand King Grim or Sand King Snap. Both of those lane combos are very aggressive. They are running 4-2-3 on the Lycan, so that's probably our safe and Sanctity on the mid TA, kind of shifting things around. TA versus Quap, not the most favorable. Lycan versus Quap isn't favorable as well, but I'd take TA over it because there's potential to feed a Wolves Quap, so TA might be able to manage. Initial level, it's not going to go well. I think for Lilgun, emphasis is going to have to come out on their Lycan Grim combo, their Snap Sand King combo. So the Wolf plays with the Inkswell, the stun with Cookie stun, back-to-back stuns for Lilgun, the offlane. Just play it to that momentum. It's still a very forced pick for me, Parker. That 5-on-5 engagement, it just feels greedy because you've got Lycan TA already, and Sand King needs some time to farm into Blink, farm into Travels that we tend to see, sometimes a Vanguard, sometimes a Veil, or even a Hood of Defiance into Pipe, and all of that requires initial farm. Sand King's going to eat into some space your TA and Lycan might want to have as well.
And often I feel like when I do see Sand King, it's a hero that it just struggles a lot to get out of the laning stage, like unscathed. And when you're looking at a Monkey King Death Prophet lane, that's a tough lane to play into. So I do feel like even though he's got that good forward position to back him up, the Sand King himself is pretty squishy and needs to do everything he can to not, keep himself away from this Monkey King. So I could see him having a pretty rough time in the lanes if he's not careful.
Yeah, it can turn south for the Sand King really fast. So we'll have to see how well 11 pushes the limit on that hero. I think overall, I would lean towards Ragdoll for draft here, Parker. I think they come out on top. They force Lilgun, somehow force them into picking their comfort picks in a very awkward position. So I think Ragdoll were ready. They only ban out the Brute. Everything else was let through, and I think they're ready to manage that.
Yep. I say as long as it's not the Brood, we'll happily give you some of those picks, and we'll get ourselves into the game. It is game number 1 of a best of 3. We've got Ragdoll, who are currently sitting undefeated. They're the Dire team, and it's a battle for the top. We're on this kind of collision course between Ragdoll, Enigma Galaxy, and Polaris, who we just saw. A win here would put Ragdoll 5-0, and very quickly all 3 of those teams are going to be 5-0 just with each other left to play.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very spicy at the top. Love this little interaction here on the pause. So they were saying good luck, have fun on LG side. GY from Ragdoll just says okay. Immediately tipping GY. It's like, yeah, all right, you're not going to greet us back. Fine. Here you go. We're going to go for you. They do give the congrats, though. Again, Lilgun, nice. They just came off a best of 5. Yeah. How insane is that? They've got a lot of games to play. We'll see if that's a factor.
Do you know how many games it went in that best of 5?
Yeah, it went all 5 games.
Oh, okay.
For Lilgun versus Violet, I believe in that. So it went 5 games. Ooh. That is a lot to ask for from a team, and I think it did go like 1, 2, and then 1-1. So Lilgun won in the end. Bit of a back and forth, but yeah, that's it's a lot of Dota. That could, warm them up. It could also kind of maybe set them back if they haven't had some Mate Parker.
Let's hope they're well stocked up. Otherwise, they could be hitting that fatigue. And then also you've got Ragdoll, Ragdoll's probably watching those drafts like, okay, we know what to prepare for. Pick-wise, strategy-wise, we know how they like to play. You get to kind of, is that like that advantage you often get when you have that double limb format on the last day? The team already in the grand finals gets to watch that lower bracket finals and just watch and study those drafts. These are different tournaments, but you got to imagine Ragdoll, them doing their homework was watching those series, watching those games.
Oh, for sure. Like, I know VT Faded, like, he's the kind of guy to really study these teams, so I'm sure they were paying attention, very close attention. And it kind of goes back to that point that you were pointing out in the draft there, Parker, where they just left Lycan TA. And Lilgun's, all right, well, the Lycan's there, we have to take it. And the Grimstroke was there, so we take that combo. And then second phase, after a couple of bans, are like, well, the TA is still there. They ban out the TA counters. We can take TA this game. But it just comes back to read, and I think Ragdoll just understands that sure, they might not be able to burn early on. They have some answers for it. Like the Bedlam can kind of burn through Refraction. The Mara's Spear with the Ags upgrade, or with the Ag Shard upgrade, can kind of burn with the burn damage as well. And your one natural burn in the laning phase would be Spirit Siphon. Because that is damage over time. It's a tick each, so you can kind of just burn through. And they're willing to let that comfort pick go. And it sends a message, and it also shows how prepared you are to kind of deal with comfort picks from the enemy team. So keen to see if that theory works out in practice for Ragdoll.
Yeah, it can always go both ways, where it's like, you give them their best hero, but you get to prepare because you know what they're going to play, versus, hey, you gave them their best hero, was that a good idea? Going way back to the 2012, 2013, the Twitch chat copy pasta began, where you give a lion to nature's prophet, and if it doesn't work, it can look pretty bad. But then when it does work, it can go great.
Oh yeah, it's just one of those things. It's a big risk, but I think Ragdoll has managed that risk very well, and should pay off. But we'll see. I've doubted Lilgun before. I've done this so many times. Not just in the DPC, but even in smaller tournaments where I'm like, all right, their draft isn't amazing. It's a comfort pick, but it's countered hard. And they'll just play out of their mind. So it's not like they're completely shut out from draft. If there's any team to play against a draft disadvantage and prove everyone wrong, it's Lilgun every single time.
Yep. Well, we'll hop ourselves into the game as everyone has reconnected. Maybe some of our newer viewers, I mean, Ragdoll is a team through open qualifiers. What kind of stands out for you as their strength, and like why and how have they done so well here in the DPC Division 2 when they weren't like the big name team?
I think for Ragdoll, it's just how long they've stuck together as a team. Like VT Faded along with Citrus, and the rest of the guys have been together since at least, I want to say around August or July. It's some time back like that. And they've just slowly improved. Sure, in those initial months, it's kind of rocky. They've dropped games here and there. They still won out a couple of tournaments, and it's just been a steady improvement. And it's just down to that, holding together as 5, having that consistency, having that chemistry. Now, the same thing kind of goes with Lilgun, though. They have stuck together for a very long time. They haven't had roster changes. So it's going to be interesting to see that clash of these teams that have honed themselves together as a unit going head-to-head. But yeah, for Ragdoll, it's that unit cohesion. It's that improvement over time. The coordination they have is just probably their shining point in this division.
Yeah, and it's particularly interesting when these teams stay together for such a long time when they're not like the top teams of their region. Perhaps for Lilgun, it's partly because of the nationality having a fully Mongolian team, but yeah, like you say, they've stuck together and they've steadily improved, and we'll see. For Ragdoll particularly, if they can make it into Division 1, that would be a huge jump for them.
Yeah, it's an insane start from open qualifiers to Div 1. That's pretty much the underdog story you want to see. So we'll see if they can pull that off. See the lanes break out first. Good blocks coming out from Citrus, setting himself up. A bit of a slip from Sanctity. We talked about this matchup a bit in the draft, Parker. Quap versus TA. The TA kind of counteracted. You can go for a Shadow Strike build, burn through Refraction. Yep. And he does opt for early Scream of Pain instead, so Sanctity's going to get a little bit more value from the Refraction, but that means you don't have, say, level 1 Psyblade for a little bit more range, so Citrus can still trade hits. And I'm keen to see how much Sanctity gets out from lane. I think the Quap's going to have a really strong time. I think Sanctity's really going to have to build up in the small camp, get some stacks going in the jungle, because the Quap, it doesn't get any easier as you hit level 3, as you hit level 5. Those spikes are big for the Queen of Pain, and she can burst you down.
Yeah, we'll see which way the Quap goes with the build if she does go back for Shadow Strike. I feel like there's always a lot of debate over the different Quap builds. You've got some of the Quaps who aren't even leveling Shadow Strike these days in certain matchups, and then you have Quaps who are maxing it. So against the TA, has the Sentry Ward, so you can't Meld Strike dodge it as well. So definitely would expect him to go it, as he does have at least 1 point already now at level 2.
That just allows so much better trading for Citrus. Still going to take a look at the other lanes here, Parker. Up top, we've got GY on the Mars, kind of matching up against 11 and Kishka with Yif to help him out. So they've done a lane swap, running the Mars safe, just to give the Mars up against the Sand King. An interesting way to give perhaps your... Ooh.
That God's Rebuke into the Bramble Maze. He might get a first blood here. He turns around to try and block with a branch there, but instead gives up his life. Whoa. That's a cool synergy you don't expect. God's Rebuke in the Bramble.
Oh yeah, it's not something you think about too often, but at aggression, it's already ramping up for Ragdoll top. And again, they've done a bit of a lane swap. They're trying to maybe give VT Faded a bit of a better time slowing down 4-2-3 instead, so you're not having to deal with the double stunts. You're not under too much kill potential, although there is still that potential with the Inkswell Wolves combination that Lilgun love to do, so I think that's something they have to watch out for. But it's a great dodge in lane, and you're already seeing really good retreats in that top lane, and you're already seeing VT Faded still find all the farm he needs in bot lane anyway.
Yep. Definitely, like not a hero known for his laning prowess, and that's something, VT Faded hoping to take advantage of.
You're not getting what you came for.
So it's free farm for him for now. But at the same time, most of the Lilgun core is having a pretty good time in the lane outside of that Sand King after that kill, but he's right back to lane and should be doing just fine here.
Getting just going off to that start. I think for Lilgun, the key timing is going to be level 3 in across every lane. Like the top lane, once you've got level 2 Burst Strike or maybe a 1-1-1 build with the Sandstorm, you can start to apply more damage. You've got the Snapfire who can back you up with more stun, although they get the Spear and Bramble onto 11 again.
Is he going to be going down here? Has a Burrow Strike, either to escape or turn and stun. He uses it too late. He's already dead. He just finished him off with the last auto attack.
Just way too much burst with his Dark Willow and this Mars. Like the control is quite great. Your front line in Mars feels a lot tankier than Sand King early on, because it feels like Sand King's very reliant on Sandstorm to actually be tanky, whereas Mars is just naturally very tanky. So you can just block off the attacks, cop all the hits, and not really care. Give Yif the room he needs to trade hits with Kishka and draw that attention away, and just, you know, collapse on top of one hero once you've got enough mana. So heads up plays from Ragdoll already. I think for Lilgun, you were mentioning the lanes are kind of still evening out. The one lane that is still standing out is Sanctity's TA. So despite what we said about the Quant matchup, our TA is getting a little bit more. Citrus is not really able to shove Sanctity too far back, and that's a great boon here for Lilgun, because we talked about how greedy that draft was. As long as TA is not too far behind, the greed shouldn't be a major factor if someone has some initial farm.
Yeah. And TA is that hero that is, if you go even in lane after that, you're the one who can power farm. You can farm those ancient stacks or just jungle it up, whereas Queen of Pain is going to be forced maybe more into a more active role, which could work for Ragdoll. I mean, being able to create space for the Monkey King, but they do have to always keep tabs of a hero like TA, not let her just get out of control farming ancients.
Got to keep an eye on those. No vision out there yet. You're going to have to work for that. Now, no real stack opportunities coming through with how active the lanes are.
Yeah.
You're seeing a little bit of a poke from Minyo Ping onto Ace 12. We're not seeing the Inkswell Wolf combination. So that aggression we were expecting with that play that Lilgun loves with micro isn't there yet. But some good use of the micro from 423 anyway to try to get hits off. The issue is, when you have this duo of DP and Monkey King, one big thing that comes out from this duo as well is that they've got pretty good wave clear. With the Crypt Swarm, with to an extent that Boundless Strike. So the Wolves don't feel like they're going to be that useful. And you can see 423 can't use it to farm a creep wave. He has to pull back, play with the camps, kind of dip away, because if you allow it to stand there, the hits from VT Faded and Minyo Ping would just bleed gold to the enemy side anyway.
Yeah. Whenever they get the chance, they're trying to kill these Wolves. Monkey King just going right up in their face. Has the Treads, Orb of Venom already, even you willing to use a Boundless Strike. Just making this lane as annoying as possible for 423's Lycan. He's still getting decent farm, but the Monkey King 31-11
Radiant's courier
is having a fantastic time.
Really strong start, and that's going to sustain VT Faded for going for this greedier build-up. He's rushing Battle Fury afterwards. So he's actually going full farm, knowing that Lilgun's also going to look to play a farm game. But the big difference is Ragdoll only has one hero that's going to farm up. The rest of them can still run and gun together once levels are up, and I think that is going to cause some strain on Lilgun's economy if they're not careful.
Yep. And we'll see how they respond to it. Right now, potential collapse on this mid lane. Sanctity's going to be a little bit careful, but most of their focus is going to be on these 6-minute runes. Ace 12 duking it out, trying to keep the Death Prophet away from this bottom rune to secure it for Sanctity, but unfortunately for Sanctity, it spawns top, but it's top lane where 11 has gotten the kill on Yif. Citrus bottling up the Arcane Rune.
Just a bit far forward from Yif, really trying to trade hits there with Kishka. The Wand Chargers were enough to leave that Snapper alive. So nice pickup for Lilgun, their first kill. Not the biggest kill, mind you, but you'll take what you can get. And even securing that, not securing the rune is also
Bottom
a bit of a painful blow.
Potential solo kill. VT Faded backs off with the TP in, but he almost solo kills 423 there.
Yeah, that's a scary sign. If your Lycan's just getting run under tower by a very confident Monkey King, you're in for a world of hurt. And again, it's that combination with Grimstroke. Because the Grim's gone, you lose a lot of that potency with Inkswell, and when that's not there, you just kind of fall apart.
Yep. Lycan relying on his support to be there, and similar story for the Sand King, who without his support, as soon as Mars hits level 6, gets a Quap TP in, easy kill with the Arcane Rune, not needing any kind of Sonic Wave or anything. So good moves coming out from Ragdoll early on.
Yeah. They've just got a great read on what they want out of their lanes and what their timings are. Down bot, they're trying to zone out again. 423 under some pressure, but fights all across the map. Even mid, they've got a bit of an engagement here.
Yeah, constant aggression now that we've hit the 7-minute mark, but it is Ragdoll with that 7k gold lead, so they've got more farm out of the lane and are getting the better trades when it comes to these early kills that are happening. Citrus mid gets pushed back by the Queen of Pain, so things will settle down here, but it's Mars who comes out of the laying stage 7 minutes in, top of the net worth, but being chased by a Sand King here. Sand King really wants to find an opening to use that epicenter early on, but Mars not giving it to him.
And I think they've got to give a lid on GY. This is one of his best heroes. As Mars has almost always been on point for Ragdoll. He's going to hit a very fast blink timing. Again, just forcing that big AoE control, big fight area denial they have in conjunction with their supports. It's going to be a bit of an issue for the side of Lilgun if they don't keep it in check. All the while enabling VT Faded to still rush Battlefield. Like, he's not changing his build-up at all. Even if he's just holding this lane, he knows he just wants to farm because Lilgun will also play farm with 3 heroes. So if they're playing 3 heroes farming, we'll play 1 hero farming with everyone else supporting that instead.
Be kind of 4 protect 1 and not going for that early, like we saw earlier Monkey King stay maxing out the Tree Dance and Primal Spring earlier. VT phase is all about the lane and getting these Jingus to make the Lycan's life as miserable as possible. They're going for an Inkswell wolf play, but first the arena comes in. Grimstroke immediately gets deleted. They were trying to use that Inkswell play you mentioned on the Lycan Wolves, but Ragdoll were ready for it. They already had the numbers.
Is under attack.
Yeah, just a great read from Ragdoll. And once they saw that level 6 lining up for a 4-2-3, they group up, get a good arena, start a push going for themselves. So the tempo here for Lilgun's kind of thrown off. They do manage to take the mid, Sanctity with the DD getting that done. So a big tower for them to take. But losing that bot a bit earlier with a Lycan in your team does feel unexpected. Still, you're more than happy with Lilgun taking mid. They can control the triangle. They can cut off some farm and start building up for themselves.
They wouldn't defend top. Another Inkswell play. They're going with the Sand King Sun. This should be the death of VT Faded with the Virus Strike coming in to follow it up, and GY, he's in trouble. 2 kills go the way of Lilgun. They do lose their tower, but now with Sanctity rotating as well, they're looking for a 3rd kill. Potentially more if Citrus isn't careful. He's going to get the hell out of here.
You came too close to the secrets.
Those are massive kills coming out for Lilgun. Great rotations from them, and they're starting to build on that early momentum they have with Sanctity because of that mid. It might not have been the smoothest lane for Sanctity. They still got a lot more than you'd expect up against a Quap. And Ragdoll are the ones being punished for overextending a bit. Look at the vision out from Lilgun as well. Very aggressive across the river. 2 wards just watching the camp entrances on the triangle and on the top. So they know they want to kind of take some early aggression themselves with their Lycan, with their Sand King in particular. I think those are the key aspects for them to find some kills and start running from there. Still, they have allowed a little bit of that jungle space to go to VT Faded, again, who's still building Battle Fury. So if he doesn't get this by maybe 15 to 17 minutes at the latest, I think Ragdoll's timings are going to be thrown completely off. So they've got to secure that safe farm for VT Faded. He's got to be aware of the vision from Lilgun. And I think Ragdoll's got to make some plays happen across the map to force responses there outside of the Monkey King.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned earlier, the other 4 heroes enabling his greedy playstyle, and that comes down to like Mars and Quap especially, but if Mars keeps getting caught out by this combo, his life's going to be for a world of hurt, and he is going to try and look to use the arena, catches the Lycan on the wall. Can Citrus finish him off with the Sonic Wave? It's going to be close, gets the burn damage from the Shadow Strike, that finishes him off, and they trade Mars for Lycan, so Ragdoll probably okay with that, considering it was like a 2v3 scenario. Elsewhere, though, Yip dies to the Sand King top. Epicenter was used, and Sand King finds the kill.
Now, that was a built-up kill. They did get the scan out to spot that support positioning there from Lilgun's end and managed to get the punishment. And that's bad news for Ragdoll. You still slow down the Lycan, but you've managed to give 11 his blink time. So you've got the Sand King who can initiate. We talked about the shortcoming of Lilgun's draft. The initial greed is plentiful, but with the early blink timing, there's a tempo they can play with. They can play with a Burrow Strike Kisses combination. There's no easy way of stopping Kishka's Kisses from a mile away as well. Not until you've got the full blink on GY, and that's not yet up.
Time and time again, looking for that Inkswell. This time around, there's a sentry to see the wolf coming, so keeps it away using the God's Rebuke. That was potentially going to be a hairy situation, and now with Monkey King showing up, they're ready to fight. VT Faded says, you know, I'm trying to get this Battle Fury, but I'm pretty strong as well. Gets a kill and a support, and we'll be back to farming.
Great use of that Exorcism as well from Minyo Ping. They aren't quite lined up for a push. The creep wave's still a bit too far behind to really get much from that duration, but it still relieves some pressure from Monkey King again, allows that ramp up. I think for Ragdoll right now, the spacing isn't quite yet, and
Blink Burrow Strike on Faded with the Mortimer's Kisses to follow it up. That's at least one kill. Should be two with the Hasted TA rotating in to finish off Death Prophet. Lilgun, you mentioned you can't underestimate this team. When they get one of their drafts, they can just be so scary here. Mars going in with the pig pole. He actually turns himself into a sheep. Yeah, like, what the hell are you doing there? There's no Scythe of Ice. He did that to himself.
Yeah, that was a big mistake. I think he wanted to charge in, look for the arena. Didn't expect the Hex to be that long. It's a 4-second haste and Hex, so lots of time to respond from Lilgun. And it's back to that point, not just underestimating this team, but having the Sand King early blink enables the Kisses play. And you talked about it in Draft, Parker, where Ragdoll's team was very high armor with the Mars, with the Monkey King. And their only solution really is the Sand King and Snapfire, but because of the blink, they can easily melt them early on. So it's becoming hard to match that aggression.
Dire's top tower
The aggression's not going to end here. Lilgun just keep looking to use this Blink initiation they've now got. Blink Burrow Strike comes in, Epicenter to follow up with the cookie. They want to bring down this Mars, and the Arena plus Terrorize doing some good kind of counterplays, but there's just not enough damage or any follow-up. So Ragdoll, see the gold lead swing the other way. It's now 2k in Lilgun's favor, and they're not done. Another Blink Burrow Strike going to catch the Death Prophet as well. Lilgun just going from kill to kill.
They've kicked up their pace here, and they've managed to sustain this pretty greedy lineup because they've already found the initial items. Sure, there's no full Helm of the Overlord yet in 423. It's not too far off. They've got the Blinkton Sand King. They're allowing their TA to actually farm like their win condition. And now, with the DD bottled up on 423, they're going for Roche. Not going to take too long for that to melt. The tradition still holds here, Parker. Mike would love to see this. Roche are not going to take too long. Ragdoll, key issues for them is that this blink from GY is still 200 gold away, or 150. Without that blink, they can't really jump in, contest Roche. They can't initiate the way they'd want to. And now there's a smoke play right after the Aegis. Lilgun are looking really strong to take these next few fights.
Yeah, and Ragdoll kind of had the idea that they might want to contest, but their smoke's been popped, and now they've been found. Death Prophet gets blown up to start things off here. The cookie backwards, not perhaps the direction Lilgun wanted to go. I think they just want to charge forward now. This Monkey King is not particularly scary with just some Battle Fury components, but he is going to go for a Wukong's command, go into Snapfire here. The Sonic Wave follow-up will be enough to get the kill, but huge Burrow Strike catches 3 with the Soulbind. TA with the meld hits to follow this one up, gets an Ultra kill. Looking for the Rampage. TP on out, and unfortunately, the Burrow Strike comes a little bit too late.
Oh, that is insanity, Parker. The DD timing coming out from Sanctity, melting through, the meld strikes, the Psyblade strikes, hitting the back line as well. Just a perfect lining up from Lilgun. Really great patience there, and they just punish Ragdoll. And it's back to that point about the Monkey King earlier on there, where you've got this monkey going greedy. He's still trying to go Battlefield. The timing's still looking good. But you have to accept that you're playing as 4. You cannot drag in VT Faded for these fights because he will not contribute. Even with Wukong's, he's just a sitting duck. He doesn't have the stats to live through this.
Lilgun not done. GY finds the backlines, gets the Spear Arena onto the Grimstroke, but meanwhile his teammates are just getting sliced up on the backlines. He hasn't even finished off the Grimstroke yet, and Ace 12 is going to get himself out of there. 3 dead, and Lilgun, we're only 16 minutes in, but they're taking a tier 2 tower mid, and theoretically could press forward even further with the Deso and the Helm of the Overlord. Their push is something to be feared.
Oh, it really isn't. It's just down to the fact that they got the draft lined up, even though it's pretty greedy to have these kinds of cores that want to hit that mid-game timing with very sensitive item spikes. Ragdoll wasn't able to stop it. So they take the tier 3, they're going for the racks. It's not going to take long with the damage they have, and Ragdoll just don't have counterfight. They don't have arena, so they don't even have a way of containing them for this defense.
It's always fun to watch Ragdoll because it feels like, you know, you're going in a time machine back, because these kind of like 15 to 20 minute high ground strats used to be like something you would see a lot more often. These days teams are usually slow rolling it, but Lilgun showing that you can still take a rack 16 minutes into the game, have already got themselves a massive lead.
9k up. Ragdoll, they've got the Battle Fear and VT Faded, so it's kind of time for them to hammer in. Oh, they spot him.
Yep, Blink Burrow, no follow-up though. They don't want to overcommit on BT Faded. That's Sonic Wave. Does cake out Ace 12, but that's a big commitment for a support. This is kind of how they lost that previous fight mid, where they went all in on a support, and then Lilgun happily took a fight after it. This time around, Lilgun going to wait for the Grimstroke to perhaps respawn. They've still got 2 minutes left on Aegis, so wouldn't be surprised to see them try to take another fight soon.
They've still got the time to be aggressive if they want to on Lilgun. They need to start gunning for some of these tier 2 towers. Top needs to go. They can take Outpost off of that, take control of the top jungle, look for another set of racks off the back of it. Ragdoll can kind of take this time to keep farming. They are trying to rush this BKB for VT Faded to mitigate some of that magical damage and the chain stuns coming through. I don't know if that's going to be enough by itself. I think you're going to need a BKB on GUI as well. So those two items need to time up together. You're seeing Citrus go for the Sanj and Kaya, which funny enough we saw on her support quap last time around. On a core, because of that, it doesn't feel as impressive on a core, I have to say. So I'm still not sure if this is going to be enough, but at the least it's a little bit more durability for her quap as well, who has just been melting to that wolf play. It's just the fact that Lilgun are still playing with Inkswell Wolf forward, and there's only so many sentries you can drop as a team. Like, that does cost a lot of money to keep track of.
Dire's top tower is
That's
under
why
attack.
the plan is let's stick near our towers, get that detection from the towers, but they're watching their towers melt now. TA and Lycan just sending in summons, doing deso hits. This is going to be a second tier 3 tower. They need to find a good initiation with GUI's Mars. He's hiding in the trees, but they seem to have an idea of where he is. Blink Spear into the rack. They want to go on the TA. Still 35 seconds left on this Aegis, so plenty of time for Sanctity to get some value out of it. The Soulbind going to leash up too. TA getting low, should go down once. Can they kill her a second time? But it's the Mortimer's Kisses almost killing a Fade, and he does get a Mischief off, perhaps saving his life here. And with an Arena plus Fear, good defense coming in from Ragdoll, but it's a costly one. They did have to buy back the Mars, and lucky for them, VT Faded did survive through it all. And Lilgun, they just smoke up. Are they doubling back here? They may want to try to take a fight or find a catch somewhere else, but you got to imagine Ragdoll may be ready for something.
Oh.
So Blink Burrow. Oh, he's off the mark, and now Sand may have thrown away his own life for this one. It was a nice attempt, but Lilgun get bested by Ragdoll on the reinitiation, and now Ragdoll the ones to chase. They'll take out the Hellbear Smasher. That's 250 gold going their way, but Sanctity with the Inkswell stun onto the Death Prophet. Gets Death Prophet very low. Snapfire unable to finish off Death Prophet, and both teams just playing this game of cat and mouse, poking and prodding. GY finally willing to initiate in, goes for the Blink Spear onto Kishka. He does cookie himself out of there, but there's a Boundless Strike to finish him off. Couple of kills going Ragdoll's way, and they want Sanctity. That's the big one. Can they get this TA? And they should be able to do so with the Sentry to detect her. TA. No escape without the BKB, and 3 kills go Ragdoll's way.
That is massive for Ragdoll. Like, that's such a huge streak on Sanctity. A godlike 9-kill streak going their way onto VT Faded to follow people as well. So that's going to lead to those BKB timings we were talking about there, Parker. Almost done here with VT Fadeds. Next to come is GYs, and once you've got those 2 BKBs, your front line's fixed. You don't need to worry about the chain stuns. There's nothing to pierce through it outside of him. Maybe the Soulbind might be an issue. But beyond that, you're pretty good to go. And I think if you take away that Sand King Burrow Strike with Kisses combo, you take away a lot of Lilgun's early presence. The TA can still do damage, but she does not want a sustained fight. Her damage is physical burst. She does not take sustained fights against Monkey King well. And that's where Ragdoll can start to reel this game back. They're still at a 6k deficit. There's still a Rax down. They're a tier 3 down top. There's the split push potential now from Lilgun with a Lycan draft. So there are still a lot of ways for Lilgun to kind of leverage this early start they have. But all isn't gone yet for Ragdoll. It's not all gloom and doom yet. There are signs of hope, and I do worry for Lilgun if they don't play to their tempo. Ragdoll might be able to hold long enough to kind of outscale them.
It's definitely one of those kind of fight. I mean, it wasn't even a full-on fight in the end. It was just like kind of a couple extra pickoffs where psychologically Lilgun are going to now feel under pressure, and for Ragdoll it's like a sense of calm. Yeah, we're down at Rax, but that just gave us our BKBs, and they probably feel like late game they're going to be the stronger team with this strong BKB front line. So Lilgun immediately after that, looking to go for their next move, have smoked up, perhaps sensing that they have to make something happen here. But it's a smoke coming out from Ragdoll's when, well, they send in the Lycan Wolves. Quap going to show here. And Sand King, he gets initiated on. The spear is there. Pulls him back into the Queen of Pain Sonic Wave, but Sand King gets kept alive for now with the Burrow Strike out and the Yule Scepter. He does get caught by the Terrorize, so he can't do a whole lot here, but it looks like there's no follow-up damage, and the chase is on for the TA as Death Prophet does get chased down. Sanctity finishing her off, and now another follow-up Blink Burrow Strike on the VT Faded. He's getting low. He didn't get a chance to BKB. He held it. He had a chance to use it, but maybe he just thought he was dead anyway, so decided to hold on to it, but Lilgun kill off
Dire's
3
top
and may
barracks
even be
are
going
under
high ground
attack.
here. They GG.
They call it. Oh my goodness, Ragdoll. I mean, Lilgun, they did get their comfort picks here, Parker. They got their TA,
Radiant
they got their
victory.
Lycan along with a Grimstroke. They had that combination from the start. I kind of doubted them going in because it felt like Ragdoll just baited them in, but they got their pacing off. They got this really fast blink off on 11, and that just set up for everything to come. Even the mid lane, we're seeing Citrus not fully shut down Sanctity's TA, and because of that, like, there wasn't that farming issue I expected for all these heroes. They hit their early game item spikes very fast. They start running. They just melt the objectives, and Ragdoll, with his greedy build on VT Faded, going for that Battle Fury over, say, an Echo Saber or an early Maelstrom, he couldn't really fight. And even with the Battle Fury, he had BKB that he never used. Like, the game ended with a 9-second charge there, Parker. Like, that's not a good sign for Ragdoll.
No, yeah, it's like, especially right after they won that fight, it's like, okay, small glimmer of hope, and then they just lose their next fight without using their BKB timings and GG out. I mean, it probably was GG, but it definitely not a good look for Ragdoll, who are trying to get into Division 1, and probably where maybe they're going to go back and talk about the draft and giving away all these heroes to Lilgun that are somewhat becoming signature picks of theirs.
Yeah, I think they've got to get a better read on that. They had a decent theory in how to counteract it, but in the end, these are just the comfort picks. And you mentioned it a while ago there, where it's a factor of either you understand what you're going to do and counter pick it, or they just run you down with your favorite heroes.
All right, well, the favorite heroes of Lilgun get them the Game 1 victory in this best of 3, which for Lilgun, it's a good sign. They want to take these series. They're trying to claw their way up. There's a chance, they could win out, go 5-2, maybe force some weird tiebreakers depending what happens. So they're not totally out of it. They're one of the few teams who can compete with those top undefeated teams, and they're showing it in Game 1. We're going to see if they can do it in Game number 2 as well. We'll head to a quick break. Then myself, as well as John, will be back to bring you Game 2 of Ragdoll versus Lilgun. We'll see you there.